Good morning, dear friends. We got sound, yay. June the 25th, 2020. In the time of COVID, looks like it's going to be with us for a while, doesn't it? I'm grateful to not have it today myself, and my compassion to those who do. Yeah. So this broadcast is coming to you from Beaverton, Oregon, about 12 miles west of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. If you're new and haven't visited the PIMC portlandinsight.org website, please do. You'll find an incredible wealth of information there, as well as links to the other teachers and teachings that are happening at PIMC. Not at PIMC, but under the auspices of that organization at this point. Hopefully it will be at PIMC before too long. So, a poem. David Whyte. That day I saw beneath dark clouds the passing light over the water, and I heard the voice of the world speak out. I knew then, as I had before, life is no passing memory of what has been, nor the remaining pages in a great book, waiting to be read. It is the opening of eyes long closed. It is the vision of far-off things seen for the silence they hold. It is the heart, after years of secret conversing, speaking out loud in the clear air. It is Moses in the desert, fallen to his knees before the lit bush. It is the man throwing away his shoes as if to enter heaven, and finding himself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. Fallen in love with solid ground, right here in the present moment. That day I saw beneath dark clouds the passing light over the water, and I heard the voice of the world speak out. I knew then, as I had before, life is no passing memory of what has been, nor the remaining pages in a great book, waiting to be read. It is the opening of eyes long closed. It is the vision of far-off things, seen for the silence they hold. It is the heart, after years of secret conversing, speaking out loud in the clear air. It is Moses in the desert, fallen to his knees before the lit bush. It is the woman throwing away her shoes as if to enter heaven and finding herself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. Throwing away her shoes as if to enter heaven and finding herself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. I'm going to share my screen now, and for a change, let us, if my voice will allow, let us chant together the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. The Metta Sutta, the Loving Kindness Sutta, the single most translated, chanted, copied teaching from the Buddha. And here we are. It does seem like Groundhog Day. Didn't we just do this a few seconds ago? Well, I am very grateful to have you here with me. It's comforting, isn't it? Sangha. And so let's do what we do so well. Stopping, sitting. It's so comforting to know that for a while I can be like the crows, just living. Attending to the body that sits here. Not an idea of the body, but an actual connecting into the direct sensations of body. Along with body comes mood. This morning I awakened in a mood that is tinged with sadness. No particular content, just the sadness of life, the sadness of the world, the sadness of who knows, just sadness. It's a mood. Nothing to figure out in this case. Notice the life in what you call your hands, your face, notice the fact of breathing in and breathing out. Each breath has a beginning, a rising to fullness, and then a diminishing and disappearance. There may well be thoughts. There certainly are sounds. Notice how they spring into being and then end.
It's a very fascinating natural phenomenon. There are moments of awakeness when there is knowing of breathing and knowing of that knowing. It's not a complex philosophical analysis, it's just awake, knowing that's what's happening. It's like in the poem, finding oneself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. This is what the buttocks feel like pressed into the chair. This is what the beginning of the breath is like. This is sound, this is hearing. And then there is that falling into trances. Thinking, planning, remembering, emotions, moods. That persists for some time and then quite mysteriously, waking up happens. And it's not like there's a path, some procedure to follow to wake up. It's instantaneous. It's spontaneous. It's remembering to remember.
Recognize the intimacy. Acknowledge the intimacy with which awareness and breathing in and breathing out meet each other. What begins as a superficial friendship turns into a profound, loving dance between awareness and breath, awareness and seeing, awareness and proprioception, awareness and sounds. Observing again and again always for the first time, really. The extraordinary proximity of awakeness to the dream. We can be very lost, seemingly completely lost in the wandering mind. And then suddenly, oh, it's wandering mind. What's really true here? Well, there's breathing in and breathing out, and there are some sounds. This moment is like this. There's no telling what will arise when we sit, especially when we sit a little longer. Patience could give way to impatience. A restless mind could become quite quiet and concentrated. There could be an outburst of doubt, small, medium, large. There could be desire, wanting, or disliking, aversion, wanting to get away from. A mood could transform completely. We are here on the brink of this present moment. And so we open to the vastness of life, really the vastness of the universe. We discover everything to be changing, everything to be changing. Every relationship ends in separation or death. And how do we then make our way through life? How do we make sense of it? I was at a teachers' conference once with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He insists he's just an ordinary monk. He went to great lengths to try to help us as teachers get over the fantasies of specialness, his specialness. He said again and again, "My religion is kindness." And at least 4 or 5 times he said to 230 Western Dharma teachers, "Don't try to convert people to Buddhism. Help people become better Christians, better Muslims, better Jews. Teach them how to love each other." So we have this beautiful document, the Loving Kindness Sutra, an aspirational document. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. And so metta, or loving kindness practice, has to do with creating room for everything, remembering that everything is going to disappear, really before we know it. And every being cherishes their life. One might ask, how does this apply? How do we handle this with what we see as evil in the world? What we see as beings who are callously harming millions. As Achan Sumedho put it so beautifully, loving doesn't mean liking. Loving doesn't mean you don't call the police. Loving doesn't mean you don't act to, even at risk of your life, to intercept evil. What it means is that we keep our hearts open. And what does that mean, keeping our hearts open? You know what it's like to clench and to feel hatred and feel fear, and you know it's a very distinct experience. I hate that person. I wish that person ill. I wish they would die. Not very nice experience, that. But metta, may that person be freed from suffering so they will act more skillfully, or I will do everything I can to get that person to not be in charge, at the same time realizing what a tragedy their life is. And so mostly we set ourselves free. Resentment and hatred and jealousy are such unpleasant experiences. And so please, dear friends, on the in-breath, wish yourself well. Hold yourself close to your own heart. using the great mantra, I love you, with your name at the end. And on the out-breath, perhaps there's someone it's easy for you to love. Why not warm up there? On the out-breath, may you be happy. May this person be free from pain and suffering. May I be happy. May all beings be happy. And so we participate in the great mystery of life. Awake again to face another day, to bring our contribution to the world. Let us bless or infuse our activities today with the Loving Kindness Sutra. Anyone you meet, why not think a kind thought for them? I know it's revolutionary in my own practice when I meet people to remember this person's going to die. They will say goodbye to their loved ones, their possessions, and much sooner than they imagine. Much sooner than we all imagine. So how could we not be more loving? Doesn't mean we don't have good boundaries. What it means is that we live in reality rather than in fantasies of good and bad. And please now, as you're ready, notice the life in your body, the warmth and coolness. And notice the intention to let your eyes open, and don't miss the remarkable mystery of sight, of vision beginning, of hearing happening. Why not be awake while we're here? My Crowish friends are close by. One of them lives up in that tree just behind over there. The leftover dog food from my little dog Budo's meals is very attractive to the crow. So the crow and Budo, crows maybe, and Budo have quite a relationship where Budo drives them off from the food he doesn't want. Well, the sadness mood has moved along into more of a sweet ease. That's nice. I guess I've said what I wanted to say this morning in terms of the Dharma. I will perform my invitation to you. I invite you. Explore the delight of giving in every sphere of your life. To yourself, which you've already started doing this morning, to your family, and PIMC, Portland Insight Meditation Community, invites you to scroll down to donate here and support your community. We're in this for the long haul. We intend to be flourishing when we get to go back to the center. So please think about it. And it really helps us if you'll make a monthly contribution and just really be part of that process of keeping the thing alive. And there has been extraordinary generosity towards this broadcast process. And Alicia, you want to give it another try today? See if you could say something. We're almost there, and I'm waiting on the sheetrock bids. Using Angie's list is quite a trip. Boy, you tell them you're interested, and all of a sudden there's emails and texts. So please take it away, Alicia, if you wish. Sound, no sound for me. Has anybody else got sound? You have sound, okay.
Well, good morning, Sangha. Good morning, Robert. Thank you. We are getting close to our goal for our family, so let me invite you as well to, in addition to the INC, to express your commitment to this morning practice and to this thing between us by donating to the GoFundMe campaign for our broadcast center. And I will put those details as usual in the chat, and any questions you can just let me know. My email is there. So thank you all again for your generosity.
Generosity, what a wonderful practice. So I think I wanted to just open it up right away. Do you have questions, comments, complaints, things you'd like to share?
Good morning, Robert and Sangha.
Hello, Peter.
Yeah, I just want to underscore the importance of this project, the SHED project. Read an article in the Willamette Week that Oregon is 6th in terms of new COVID cases.
Oh no.
152% increase in cases since Memorial Day. And Sharon Mirren, who's the county commissioner and also an ER physician for Kaiser, has been sounding the alarm bell. And I think the takeaway quote is, we may be tired of COVID-19, but the virus is not tired. And so it's still very unstable in terms of where it's going to go. So having this broadcast studio, after reading the article, really underscores the importance of that. So I will post a link to the Willamette Week article in case anybody wants to read it, because it's easy to get complacent. I found myself a couple of times forgetting my mask going to the vets, and so I just wanted to share that in the spirit of the project.
Yeah. Provokes really a lot of moments of sadness for me that I like it, like so many other people. I really want this to be over. I don't want it to pick up steam and take more lives and to live in fear. And I found myself, I got out of my car and was about to enter a shop with no mask on. That wouldn't have happened a couple of weeks ago, but I'm becoming a little complacent. So, boy, oh boy, we're on quite a ride here. A global pandemic. Poof.
Robert.
Jim.
I have a non-COVID-19 question.
I don't mind at all. Distract me.
A combination of events have led me evolving from living a life full of anxiety to now living a life with not much anxiety. And that's something I like. I dislike anxiety. Now, my problem or question is, I just may happen to run into somebody who I care about who is anxious about something. And what I find is listening, or maybe not listening that much, but sort of, anyway, the net effect seems to be that I become anxious. But even though I'm becoming anxious, I don't feel like I'm helping the other person. It doesn't seem like their anxiety is going down, just mine's going up. And I don't like being anxious. So I guess in the past I've tried doing things like blocking that, sort of hearing and just sort of not exactly dismissing, but just saying, yeah, that is horrible, isn't it? But without really getting into the pain or the suffering, or sort of taking it on, but then I better go for a walk or something like that and then shake it off or something. And I suppose, I have a hypothesis, but what to do, but I'm not really sure what to do in that situation. I don't want to be anxious, because a lot of people are.
Yeah, only hang out with people who are less anxious than you.
Yeah, okay, that will work.
Next question. Now, of course, we pick up other people's anxiety and sadness, and there is no solid self. We're a process, and part of a big piece of the self is the social construction, and we do it in relationship. And the more intimate our relationship with another person, the more we affect each other. And that's part of a lifetime's work, I think. I have a silly but very informative, I think, definition of codependency. And we're all codependent to some degree or another. But a codependent is a person who, when he falls off a cliff, someone else's life flashes before his eyes. And when we're in relationship with people and they are anxious, for instance, in this example, of course it's going to be infectious with us, and it gives us the opportunity to continue to refine our own capacity to not take our moods and feelings and emotions personally. To let them come, like in your case, you're developing more and more capacity in your own spaciousness to not be anxious. And then you're relating to someone and the anxiety comes up again. Perfect opportunity with which to notice the disliking of the anxiety, maybe self-criticism, I shouldn't be anxious, and then to notice how it fades away. That it's just the way it is.
I want it to fade away faster.
Well, you and me both, but yeah. And it's similarly, if one turns on the TV or the news, one can quickly encounter people who will fire up strong feelings and liking and disliking, and that's very good grist for the mill of our practice. To notice, it points out what we believe in, and also what the direction of moving toward love is. So one could, and people do, and there's a place for it, withdraw from the world and discover great peace, remarkable peace. And then there would come the return to the world, and one discovers, whoa, I still have work to do. I know Ram Dass told a story of he'd been in India for months and blissed out, and came back, and he was staying at a friend's home, and he was sitting in a little meditation room, and he came out He was into God, 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 Ram, 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 and he came out. And there was a time, I can hardly believe they built these, but I remember having one for the kids. It was a dartboard of a sort but it had foam balls, and you would throw the foam balls, and they would stick on these little sharp points. Well, he walked out of the meditation room and stepped on one of these, and he said it went from God, God, God to God damn it, who left that there? Which shows that there's work to do. Thanks for bringing Hood River to us. It's beautiful there this morning.
Beautiful here today.
Yeah. I think we still have, let me look. Yeah, we still have in the valley overcast, but it'll burn off after a while. Thanks, Jim.
Bobby.
Tim, hello.
Good morning, Sonia. That reminds me of a trick that my daddy taught me when I was a kid, kind of a reverse engineering thing. He said, when you're happy, it makes you smile. But try doing it the other way around. When you smile, it makes you happy. And likewise, when you're frightened, you're anxious, it makes you tense up your shoulders. So try doing it the other way around and relax your shoulders and see if that don't make you less tense and anxious. It was just a little trick that works for me.
Thank you. Your daddy was a wise man.
Yeah, he was. The other thing he used to say all the time is the only thing you can count on is change.
Yeah, that's the truth, ain't it?
Hi, it's Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. Good morning to all. I have a question about dementia and Alzheimer's. In relation to our practice, we're using our practice. I'm using the practice to become more mindful and more conscious. And my understanding is that through our practice, we can become more conscious at the time of death. The more we practice. And so I just wonder how this relates to dementia and Alzheimer's, as I see people around me in my community who fairly young, in their 60s, have developed dementia, And there's always a possibility, of course, for myself. There's always that possibility. And I just wonder what I feel like. Of course, there's something beyond the mind, so that consciousness will carry on. But I just I'm not sure. I it's been a question on my mind for a while. My sense that at the time of death is that there will be consciousness, and that there's grace. It's not our control, of course, 100%. But anyway, I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, it's one of the huge questions, and it's a question for me. And I guess, in all honesty, my simple, direct answer is I really don't know. I watched and I haven't been around dementia. Well, that's not well. Anyway, I haven't been around it a whole lot. No, I did watch. My mother had strokes, and she had dementia. Got more and more. Strokes can be so awful. She had a lot of delusions near the end. It was near the time that Canada was doing negotiations with the Indian tribes around the country, and the native people, the indigenous folks, did a lot better in Canada than they did here, and way better than in the United States. But during these hearings, I went to see my mother, and she was incensed that the room was filled with these native people and parliamentarians and so on. That why do they have to? Why are they meeting in my room? I pay for a private room. But more to the point, perhaps, is I was with Ruth Denison through her death, and her brilliance became complicated, and the side of her character that wasn't very nice grew at the end, and then she had a stroke, and she was 11 days dying, and someone thought brilliantly to put a mala in her hand, a Tibetan mala, and there she was, apparently, profoundly unconscious, and ever so slowly, every now and then, making a movement with her mala. And there are stories of people who have been their loved ones, meditators, Buddhist practitioners, teachers, who've watched their loved one disappear, right, through the dementia process. And then at the time of death, there's a few moments of lucidity and clarity and speaking. So who knows? It's just hard to know. And I guess the best we can do is hold each other's hands and walk each other home, and I'll carry your books for you if you want for a while. To be friends with each other and with ourselves, because we really don't know what will come in that regard. It's one more of the huge unknowns. And what else are we going to do other than practice to become more conscious and be more loving? I don't see an option really other than that. And hopefully it will have an impact on ourselves and others.
Of course. Yeah, it's just another of the great mystery.
Yeah, we come out of nowhere and then we disappear. What a strange thing. What could be stranger than that? So I thank you for sharing this huge pondering with me and us.
Robert?
Tim, hello.
It would. I have a concern about Alzheimer's. My mom died of Alzheimer's a couple of years ago, and I noticed my own short-term memory not being as sharp as it was. And it seems that there are many motivations for mindfulness practice. That watching the thought process and being aware seems like it's going to be really helpful for me and for many of us as our mental capacities diminish. So thank you.
Amen. May it persist.
Yeah.
Mindfulness. Yay.
Yeah. Many advantages.
Many advantages. I don't think there's a downside.
No.
This is Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello. I was really struck by Jim's comments and your replies, and feel so like lifelong affected by the sponge. Being the sponge.
Right.
And I just wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind to just kind of repeat the teaching, like. Notice the response, just to say those words again so that I can integrate them and take them forward in my day today.
I'm having a little difficulty. Your voice is coming in and out. I missed the key point of what you just said.
The point is just to please repeat the steps, like repeat the teaching of the what to do. Let me try to mute.
What to do in regard to what?
When you feel you're being integrating other people's moods.
Okay.
Like I see it really clearly, but it's hard to interrupt the process. It's almost like it's I go down a chute.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. With these patterns that are so strong in us, we must it really behooves us to have mercy. And then you've gone down the chute and you're 3 hours later and it's happened again. How wonderful that you noticed it at 3 hours. And then it's 2 hours or 1 hour or half an hour. And all the while we're developing our mindfulness and concentration, and we're also developing awareness of our own emotions and our own moods. And so we're learning to differentiate our self, quote, our sense of self, from our emotions. So we're getting stronger all the way across the board. And among the things to do, where in the body does this emotion exist? So we move out of being it into being that which observes, and there's the sensation of this emotion. That's a huge breakthrough when we can start doing that. And then we can become more and more adept, and we can notice. Funny, this is a little tangential, but I remember when I was first studying nonviolent communication and in a difficult relationship. And the first time I was able to pause, feel what had happened in my body, and say, ow, what you said really hurt. Such a different response than going to my usual, but it was taking responsibility for it in myself. And so that's how we watch the infection happen in a way. And contagion happens, I find, also with depression. I grew up with a very depressed mother, and so being around depressed people is really a challenge for me. And so I work to honor that in myself and to do my grieving that I need to do. But it continues to be work. Is that making sense toward your question? Thank you. Jim Dalton posted something on the chat here. Let me send you a simple guided meditation that helps me change my relationship to anxiety. I discovered it on Locke Kelly's website. There's so many resources. So it's 8:06. Time to end soon. Anybody have anything else you'd like to share or ask? Actually, I have one more thing I want to say about that contagion. Near the end of my parents' lives, before my mother had her big stroke and then was in the nursing home for 6 years, they lived in Montreal and I lived here, and I discovered, much to my mother's distress, that I could only go there for 2 nights maximum. By that point, I was in my 50s. I was a pretty well-trained family therapist. I've been teaching Dharma for years. But to be in their environment, the family emotional system was of such potency that my pelvis would lock up like my father's, and it was really hard when I had plane tickets one time, and I couldn't tell them I was coming, and I finally realized what was happening, and I switched it so I wasn't, instead of being there 5 days, I was there 2 nights, and then the effect on me was only severe. It wasn't debilitating, and that was after years of therapy and meditation. That these relationships, these toxic relationships, can have profound impact on us. And so what's merciful? What's really kind and generous? How much can I afford to expose myself to this particular level of pathology and illness? So I guess the task is to love ourselves as best we can. Any other last something? Well, thank you for coming to visit. I see one young person there with Debbie. Any other young persons around? Let's end with a song. I'll look forward to being with you tomorrow. Unmuting. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, dear ones. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Nice haircut, Robert.
I agree.
It feels really good.
Really good to you.
Jennifer likes it, so that's what's really important. The hairdresser is her hairdresser, and she said, "How do you want it cut?" And I said, "Exactly the way Jennifer always tells you." All right. Have a fine day, dear friends.
Thank you.
Thank you, FaceTime and YouTubers. May you have a good day. Be safe. May you stay well away